Hello and welcome to this second lesson in the Year 8 Digital Graphics unit. Now before we start, there are 3 questions on your screen which I'd like you to research and write the answers to in your book. Number 1, what are visualization diagrams? Number 2, what should they include? And then number 3, what would normally not be included on a visualization diagram? So pause the video at this point. Go online, research, BBC Bite Size has definitely got the answers, and move on when you are ready. As I said, this is lesson 2 in the Year 8 Digital Graphics unit, and today we're going to be having a good look at some magazine front covers, how we can design those, and then create a magazine front cover of our own. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to understand what a visualization diagram is. You'll be able to understand how to create a visualization diagram for a magazine, and then you will move on to create the next edition of a popular magazine of your own. So as you hopefully found out from the Do Now activity at the start, visualization diagrams are just simple hand-drawn designs. It's just a complex phrase that means a hand-drawn design for a digital graphic. They always include labels and descriptions of key parts and key components, as well as maybe a justification of why each section has been included and why each section is where it is. They can be coloured, or the colours can just be labelled on. So if you had a box, you could label that red, or you could colour it in if you needed to. And the same with pictures. If you have a picture, you can draw it if you like, or you can just draw a box and say a picture of a football will go here. Here you can see an example of a fairly decent visualization diagram, and the key thing you should note here is that you don't need to be artistic. Your visualization diagram can still be neat and tidy, even if you're not particularly artistic, because as this young person has done, there is a box that says picture, and they've then just said, I will add a picture of social media icons here so the reader knows what they are. You'll see there's a range of different annotations, and the annotations are really important. It can't just be a drawing. You need to have your annotations around the outside explaining why each part is where it is. Pause the video at this point and think about these 2 magazine front covers. We've got a NME music magazine front cover and a computer active front cover. I'd like you just to think, what are the key components of each of these magazines? So for me, both have got very clear logos and very clear titles. The computer active and the NME part both really stand out. Both of the front covers have a large image. We've got the Arctic monkeys on one, and we've got the sort of computery robot on the other. We've then got a large title across the front which really shows what's happening. The Last Shadow Puppets on one, and then Block All Nuisance Calls on the other. Down the left-hand side, we've then got the other articles. I guess people wouldn't buy these magazines if it was just one article. So down the left-hand side, we've then got sort of a list of the other key articles that are taking place. So although these are very different magazines, there are definitely key components there that are consistent. So in a minute, you're going to design the front cover for a magazine and next week's edition of a popular magazine. And I'm going to give you a couple of options for the magazine that you might wish to choose, and they're going to be coming up over the next couple of slides. The first option is the next week's edition of the Computer Active magazine. Now there are 2 editions of this side by side, and again you'll note there are definite bits here that are there every week. We've got the slanted title, we've got the red background, we've got the price in the top left, and at the bottom we've got the 3 boxes showing the 3 other bits in the magazine. If you were to design the next edition of this, there are certain bits you need to keep the same and certain things you'll definitely want to change. Option 2 is NME magazine, a music magazine. Now again, the logo is very consistent in that one. The big writing across a large picture is very consistent, as well as a couple of other little articles or labels for articles around the outside. It might be you choose this magazine, and if you do that, again, there are going to be some bits you need to definitely include, as well as some bits you can change if you want to. Option 3 is our more sort of gossip, as I would call trash magazines. Again, we've got our title there, a main article with a main picture, as well as 2 others along the top. The Heat word is written in a very specific font, and we've got a few other bits there in terms of gossipy type labels that can go with each one. If you were to pick this one, there are again some consistent bits that you need to keep the same. And our final magazine is our sports magazine, our Match of the Day magazine. Now again, there's lots on here, lots going on, a number of different football players on each one, quite a lot of words, quite a lot of text on the front cover. Flick back through and decide which of those you wish to create. If you're really not happy with any of those, you can find another magazine online, but it'd be useful if you tried to stick to one of those for where you can. So I'd now like you to create a visualization diagram in your book for one of the magazine covers. It's really important that your visualization diagram for the time being is hand drawn. It doesn't need to be artistic, but it does need to be neat. That means drawn with a pencil and drawn with a ruler. Around the outside, you need to label the key elements of the magazine. You need to label what are the key parts that you're including, looking back at the visualization diagram from earlier. Last week we looked at brand image and house style. You need to make sure that your magazine sticks to the brand image that's in place. If you were doing the NME magazine, you can't suddenly start writing NME in blue because NME is always written in red. That's their house style. So you've got about 20 minutes. I'd like you to create a visualization diagram or a hand-drawn design for next week's edition of one of those magazine front covers. Pause the video now and have a go at your hand-drawn design. Now that our design is complete, we've now got some time to create our magazine front cover. Now, if we were in school, we would do this in Microsoft Publisher, and this would be the last time we used Publisher before we moved on to Photoshop in next week's lesson. However, as you're doing this from home, you may need to adapt to what software you're going to use. If you've got Publisher, brilliant, that would be a good idea. If not, Microsoft Word is available through Office 365 for free for all students. That could be something you use. Alternatively, I'm going to paste the link to a web application called Photopea, and that will allow you to create your magazine front cover online using some photo editing software there. You're going to need to be slightly flexible with this. Pick some software that you think you can figure out how to use, you've got access to at home, and you're able to give a good go at. The full details of the activity are coming up in just a second, but for now, decide what software are you going to use to create your A4 portrait magazine front cover. So, for the final activity in today's lesson, I'd like you to create your magazine front cover. All students will include some basic shapes and basic text within your magazine. Most of you should then go online and get a range of different images from the internet. Try and ensure that they're not pixelated or stretched. If you get a square image from the internet and make it a rectangle, you've stretched it too far. I'd like you to try in the next 20 minutes to half an hour to complete your magazine by using all of the tools that we learned last week while creating our logos, plus the design that we've done this week from our visualization diagram. As I say, some of you will use different software for this. Publisher would be ideal, but not all of you will have that at home. Microsoft Word will do, and if not, there's plenty of things online that will allow you to create basic magazines using an online website. But give it a go. So hopefully we're at a point where you now understand the following 3 things. You hopefully understand what visualization diagrams are. You're hopefully able to create a visualization diagram for a popular magazine, and hopefully you've created your magazine front cover. And like I say, that's slightly different to how we would do that in school, but we're in very different times at the moment, and if you're doing this remotely, you'll need to adapt to whatever software you have got available to you. If you've struggled with any of those parts, please do go back through and have another look through the video. You can give yourself as much time on each activity as you need to. If you've got any issues, please do message your teacher via Google Classroom or via the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching.